Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a deck profiles. We're going to be going over my Endymion Spellbook deck today and going over the pros and cons and the budget requirements for this deck. Let's get into it. So the first card in the deck is Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. He's basically everything you're going to want from a boss card in deck. He has built-in protection, he has negation, he is easy to summon, and on death he floats into any spell card. Yes, that is right, you can search out sparks with this guy. He is the top dog. So next up, we have the High Priestess of Prophecy. Now I know what you're probably thinking, she's not that great, but fun fact, she is my favourite card in the game, and she does kind of work well with the deck. She's basically here to be a card to put on the field to become a Link Monster material. And she's also level 7, which works with the other cards to go into rank 7 plays, and she can pop a card on the field as well, making her relatively okay. And if push comes to shove, she does have her own summoning requirement. So next up is the Reflection of Endymion. She's not as good as the other cards, but she is a scale 2 pendulum monster, which does help. She is also level 7 for those rank 7 plays, and she has a on-field bounce effect, which is good for getting over cards with destruction immunity. And like I said, her summon a card from the hand doesn't really come into it too much with the deck being a pendulum deck, but I have used that ability. So 2 is fine, 3 is overkill, and 1 is just a bit pointless. We have Magical Abductor next. She is basically here to search out pendulum monsters like Endymion, Magister, or Servant. Outside of that, she's just a low-scale monster to help with the numbers. So the Magister of Endymion is our next card. He is our combo extender. He can bring cards back from the extra deck to go on with further plays, meaning that you can quite easily just use your Endymion for link material and then bring him back with this. He can also summon cards from your deck during your opponent's turn to help with plays like that, such as bringing out another Endymion from the deck if your opponent's playing a heavy spell or trap deck. Finally, we have Servant of Endymion for the Endymion lineup. She is arguably the best card in the deck and the most likely to get hit in future ban lists, because her pendulum ability just basically says summon any spellcaster Endymion card from your deck straight to the field. So yeah, she's a must-have and she's a 3. The final monster of the deck is going to be the Magician of Prophecy. He is your normal summon of the deck, which makes him really cool, and he's never really a dead card because if you do have multiples in your hand at any one time, you can discard them for cards like Spellbook of Knowledge, or reveal them for Spellbook of the Master, so it keeps them online at all times. So getting into the spells, we're running 2 Spellbook of Knowledge. I think 3 is a little bit too much because it does have a hard once per turn effect, but 2 is just about nice, just in case one of them gets banished with Pot of Desires, or you just want to see them a bit more often. We are running 1 Spellbook of Power to increase the name of Spellbook cards in the deck, and again, if your opponent is playing a boss card that's a bit hard to get over and just that little bit too strong, you can help increase the numbers. And a nice combo you can do with it is to increase it with the Masters to basically give one of your cards a 2k boost and then 2 searches if you run over something. We are running 3 Pot of Desires because getting to your combo pieces as quick as possible is very important. Yes, 3 is a little bit overkill, and I am debating on dropping it down to 2, but we're going to see what happens with the upcoming January ban list. Now, Spell Power Mastery is arguably one of the best cards in the deck. Searches out any Endymion from your deck straight to your hand and can put spell counters on other cards. If you place down a Servant and then activate this, your Servant is live immediately because that will count for 2 spell counters, and then the card you search, which will most likely be Magister, will be the 3rd spell counter, allowing you to go straight off. Spellbook of the Masters is a combo extender as well. It allows you to duplicate any spellbook you like. I usually use it on cards like Knowledge or Secrets, but cards like Power is also good as well. Either or is just an extra spell counter on one of your many Endymion cards. We are running 1 copy of Terraforming, which does go in with our field spell, the Citadel of Endymion. Now, I did run it at 2 at first, obviously it got limited to 1, and the Citadel, whilst good, is not, you don't want too many of it in your deck. We'll go over that in a moment, but either way, 1 copy of Terraforming is fine, as it basically acts as 2 spell cards activated if you draw it. And then Spellbook of Secrets is your main spellbook of choice. It searches out any spellbook card, including the Magician, so it's good for starting off combos, and again, if you have one of your Endymion cards ready in your Pendulum Zone, it can basically get them to where their effect is ready straight away. Now, Twin Twisters is in the deck because I have come across way too many decks that have back row or cards that are problematic. My main problem with the deck is cards like Zombie World, which kind of shuts off some of your key plays like that. So having Twin Twisters is always nice. Plus, if you're playing against a Spell and Trap heavy deck, it's nice to clear the way so you can start with your combos. Spellbook of Wisdom is in the deck. It's basically a little bit of built-in protection for your cards. The main reason why I use it is just for the name alone, to discard with cards like Knowledge, or Reveal with cards like the Master. or as we'll go into it, Crowley. And it also can be activated if you need to just get that one last spell counter, even if you just activate it for the sake of activating it. So like I said earlier with Citadel of Endymion, it's here because it is good and it does work with the deck, but you don't want too many because it can be cloggy. You want every card in your hand to be readily available, and just seeing two of this in your hand is just pretty dead card, to be honest. So I don't think that 3 is needed. 2 with 1 terraforming is fine. Now moving on to the extra deck, like I said, we do have some Xyz players in the deck, and playing Dracosack is a tech choice that I really like and have used multiple times. So Dracosack can give you 2 tokens which can make an immediate rank 2. Basically, it's just free advantage, meaning 2 monsters can become an instant rank 3 or a rank 2 with a 2600 body left on the field. Next up we have Big Eye for just taking any monsters that you can. I don't use it that much, but it has won me a couple of games, so bear that in mind. Taking an opponent's monster, then sacking both that and the Big Eye to make a Link 2 play is always nice. Dante, we can make rank 3 plays, but he's not really needed. Like, he's a 2500 body, which is kind of nice. Outside of that, you don't really want to be putting stuff in your graveyard, and you go through the deck that quickly that milling another 3 is not really that good, so Dante is probably going to be coming out, come to think about it. So next up is Avramax. He is one of the better cards in my extra deck. He's got built-in protection, and he can basically run over any card, and he's a nice link 4 to play. Borolo Dragon kind of follows a similar sort of theme. He can't be targeted by card effects, he steals monsters, and he's got a nice body, which is always nice. Now, Zero Boros is great, because if you play it right, you can lock your opponent out of using their extra deck once in link format, meaning they've got to sacrifice the first link monster or extra deck monster they play, because of the way that it works. Obviously, that won't be as useful when the new Master Rule comes out, so bear that in mind. Outside of that, he's basically just a body, because Pot of Desires can give this guy 2k straight off the back, making him quite big numbers. Skull Dread's in here. I haven't really used it that much, but the advantage is nice. The only problem is by the time you're getting into a Link 4 monster, extra cards in your hand isn't really that good unless you're trying to set up for your next turn. But he's in here just in case. We have 2 Link 3s next that I don't really use, but it's nice to have them just in case. So Triple Burst Dragon and Decode Talker are just there if I need to go into a Link 3 play. Like I said, Dracosack can be a 1-card Link 3, so it's always nice. Now for the Link 2s, these are the more important ones because you're making these more often. We have Akashic Magician. She's great for bouncing stuff, and she's just a good Link 2 card to go into. Cards like Daybreaker, Proxy Dragon, and Security Dragon are just in here to be Link 2 cards to use to go into higher Link cards such as Avramax, Borolo Dragon, and Zeroboros, etc., etc. Outside of their link rating and the fact that Proxy is the best of the 3 by having its arrows pointing left and right, doesn't really mean much. They're just in there for the links. The main link 2 you'll be playing though will be Crowley, as he opens up 2 extra monster zones in the main monster zones for you to allow your extra deck pendulum plays to work. He searches out spellbook cards which can extend or start combos. He's just overall a great card, and then you can sacrifice him off to go into a higher link monster, down to the fact that his attack isn't that great. So that's the deck profile for you guys. When I review a deck, I review it on 3 terms. I review it on its competitive viability, its fun factor, and its price. So competitively for this deck, on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, I have done really well with it. It has actually had a lot of success, but it also had downsides. Its main weaknesses are cards like Droll and Lockbird and Ash Blossom, as they can quite stop your combos, as there's a lot of searching and maneuvering with the deck involved in this deck. So just do bear that in mind. However, I have managed to survive Ash Blossom turns, so they're not the end of the game, but they can severely hurt you. Cards like Super Polymerization can really put a stop to your combos by just ridding your board of creatures, and the fact that Endymion can't counter Super Poly kinda sucks. Other things to notice about is obviously, cards like the Kaijus and stuff like that, also very good ways of getting rid of your boss monsters. Usually that's not a problem. Spell and trap cards won't be a problem in this deck. You've got plenty of ways to stop them, so don't worry about if you're playing against a deck that's got counters for you via that way. The deck does shine against some meta decks, mainly Sky Strikers. It's really good against them, because if you get the first turn and you can get multiple Endymions on the board, your opponent they panic for a bit, they don't know what to do, and it usually wins to an easy game. Outside of that, yeah. So as far as competitive viability go, I would give it a thumbs up, but not a high one. If the deck is not the strongest deck, and the new ban list will decide the fate of this deck, and the new master rule will definitely be a huge nerf for the deck, as the link format and the Pendulum format not getting a buff, whereas other formats, here's looking at these guys and the Synchros, are definitely going to be getting buffs, so just do bear that in mind. Now, as far as the fun factor goes, this deck is hella fun to use. There's so many fun combos you can play. You can literally just blitz through your deck and summon any monster you like really easily. I also like playing around with it and adding in some fan favorites. Like I have added the Egyptian guards into this deck before. They are really great. But outside of that, just playing the deck as is nice. Like seeing the Spellbook cards again for me is great, as they were one of my favourite decks of the previous years, and getting to use them again is nice. Obviously, if I wanted to increase the deck's outgoings, you could take out the Prophecies and replace them with some Ash Blossoms if you so wish. That is completely up to you. This, like I say, this is more of a personal deck for me, so I'd definitely give it a thumbs up as far as fun factor is concerned. And as far as budget is concerned, this deck is super cheap, you guys. Literally, it's just going to cost you 3 copies of the trial deck and then a couple of singles. Like these cards, they cost literally nothing. The most expensive card in the deck is Avramax, and because of how cheap the deck is, I would definitely recommend getting yourself a copy of him. You're probably looking to spend between 50 to 60 English pounds on the deck. How that changes in dollars, I don't know. Obviously, it won't be too much. Either or, a definite thumbs up there. It's a lot of fun for the price you're paying, and just having the deck as a physical copy of the deck, it just looks nice. My next goal for this deck is to rarity bump all my cards and make it look a little bit shinier. So get all this in shiny would be nice. So anyway, guys, that is the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to be streaming content in the future, and I'm going to be uploading more games with this deck online. And if you have any other decks you would like to see me play, let me know in the comments down below. I'll build the deck. Hale, if you've got any crazy cards that you're really a fan of and would love to see put in decks, kind of like the High Priestess, again, let me know, because I love doing quirky decks like that have cards that most people don't look twice at. So hey ho. So thank you for watching the video, and I will catch you next time. Until then, have a great day, and may the heart of the cards be with you.